Well, well, well. What do we have here? Episode number 93 of Mouth Dancing with your host, Young. Thank you so freaking much for listening. I really, truly appreciate it. Today, we're going to talk about how the CIA was involved in killing John F. Kennedy. Did you know that the CIA was involved in killing John F. Kennedy? Because they were. And they try to hide it. If you look up CIA involved in John F. Kennedy assassination, the first result you'll get in Google is an article hosted on the actual CIA website, which is a joke, and it says, Russian disinformation convinced Americans that the CIA was involved in assassinating John F. Kennedy. So the Russians somehow leaked this rumor that the CIA was involved in killing John F. Kennedy. That's what the CIA claims. I mean, of course the CIA is not going to own up to it. But if you look at recent documents and things that have been declassified, after, a certain period of time they have to declassify things, right? Like 50 years or something like that. And it's pretty obvious the CIA was involved in killing him because he was opposed to the Vietnam War. And, he was just too honest. He wanted to bring more justice and fairness and equality to this country. And the people in power just wouldn't have it. The real people in power. Not the president. The president is basically just a figurehead, Kind of like the King and Queen of England. They don't really have any power, they're just symbols of power. I mean, they have some power. They're not totally innocent, that's not what I'm saying, but behind the shadows are the people who are really in control of things. And, JFK, he just would have been a thorn in their side as president. So they assassinated him. And it was the CIA, 100%. They were involved in it all the way, from beginning to end. And they're involved in covering it up afterwards, too. The Russians didn't convince us that it happened. That's just exactly what happened. And if you don't know that by now, you should. Your own country's government killed JFK. It also killed a bunch of other really important political figures like Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, assassinations in other countries like Che Guevara. They wanted to assassinate Castro, but they just could never do it. And this kind of thing has been going on forever. It still happens. If you are too influential and you're too, outspoken about the American system, about capitalism, and just making too many waves against the status quo, they'll snuff you out. If you're just a nobody who knows these things, they don't really care. But if you're out there spreading the word and getting a following, then they'll see you as a threat and they'll eliminate you. Next, let's talk about Korean Jesus. So Christianity is foreign to Korea, right? Christianity came from the Middle East. Then it spread to Western Europe, where it became very white, They made Jesus like a blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy. Then it spread all over the place. Latin America, other parts of the world, like other parts of the Middle East, even Asia, like China, Japan, Korea. Japan early on was actually pretty cool about persecuting Christians, And China too. Korea didn't like them either in the beginning. But after America invaded Korea, Christianity really spread a lot. Missionaries were there converting people. And just American influence really made it spread a lot more than it ever had before. So yeah, Koreans, they decided to make a Korean Jesus because they didn't want to worship this blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy, right? So if you see certain depictions of him, you'll see him like on a cross, right? The crucifixion scene. And he's just totally ripped. But he's a Korean dude. He's not like a Northern European looking dude. Like they have in Europe, and America. And they also have drawn nativity scenes where Mary and Joseph are wearing like traditional Korean clothing, and they have a little Korean Jesus baby, and all the angels are even Asian looking, and yeah, it's just everything looks Korean. And I appreciate the sentiment, I appreciate what they're trying to do there, but in the end it doesn't really work, because in the end it's still a foreign religion. Just changing the face of Jesus isn't going to change that fact. These Christian, ideas and this religion, these practices, these beliefs, they come from somewhere in the Middle East, from a totally different culture, and people who just think totally differently. And it doesn't belong in East Asia. So they really need to do something about this. They need to get rid of the religion completely. Making Jesus Korean isn't going to change that. I mean, it's kind of cool looking, I guess. Korean Jesus, he's ripped. He's getting crucified. Died for our sins and all that. But it doesn't matter if he's Korean, if he's Jewish, if he's Scandinavian. If he's Latino. It doesn't matter. In the end, it's a foreign religion. That's it. Can't change that fact. And it must be completely and utterly destroyed and removed from the Korean Peninsula. And I'm going to make it my life's mission to do that, among other things. Liberating the Korean Peninsula from American influence. Gotta get the troops out of there. Gotta free North Korea from American sanctions and reunite the peninsula. The country needs to be whole again. And lastly, let's talk about the military budget that was just approved. Biden just signed a new military budget. It's like $858 billion, which is way more than what it was last year, and even way more than he initially proposed. And that's what Congress passed. And a lot of it has to do with the war in Ukraine. We're just going to keep dragging this out. It's going to be never ending. It's because America wants to weaken Russia. And eventually China too. America wants to destroy both of those countries and turn them into like American influenced spheres of the world, just like everywhere else. America controls Europe, controls Japan, Korea, Philippines. It influences pretty much every part of the world very, very heavily. And the two big exceptions to that are Russia and China. Of course, there's North Korea, Cuba, Iran, places like that. But they're really small countries and they don't have that much influence. It's those two big powers that America is really focused on destroying. And that's what all this money is for. And that's also why we have so much inflation right now. This country is spending all of its money on this war. And that's why the price of like a container of cream cheese is like $9 right now. It's insane. And the inflation is just going to keep going up. And it's going to cause a crisis. Because America can't mind its own business and just let other countries alone. Can't just focus on itself. It has to harass and annoy and intervene in other countries constantly. That's just the way the American ruling class does things. They're not just psychopathic, they're stupid too. They're like psychopaths with barely above average IQs. And they think this shit is gonna work. But what they're doing is just dragging the whole world down with them. The American economy's going down. The whole world economy's going down because of this. And it's because of these idiot psychopaths who are in charge. No matter what you think about Ukraine or Russia, it doesn't matter. It's not our business. We shouldn't be there. We shouldn't be spending all this money for it and making normal working people suffer for it. And we shouldn't be killing people. We shouldn't be helping Ukraine kill people. It's murder. America needs an anti-war movement again. The anti-war movement was kind of basically totally suppressed in America during the Middle East wars after 9/11, because anyone who opposed war was portrayed as a crazy anti-American hippie who hates this country, and it was considered unpatriotic. You know, we had freedom fries back then and stupid stuff like that. And that kind of really did a number on the anti-war movement, but it needs to come back. These days we have liberals who support war now, which makes no sense. That means the whole left wing of America has been totally co-opted by the ruling class to support wars. That means America has no left wing, really. So we gotta get that going again, the anti-war movement. And yeah, on that note, I'd like to end this episode. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.